Hey, what's up YouTube? This is my 1995 Nissan Silvia, and today we are going to be changing the water pump, the thermostat, the crank pulley seal, and doing some basic engine maintenance. So let's dive in and see what's involved. We're also going to be cleaning up the engine bay to make it look good the way that it does now versus crappy the way that it did like this. Yeah, let's get that old thermostat cleaned up. Clean up that RTV. And I've got a new one coming from Nissan. This thing looks like it's pretty freshly changed, but I wasn't sure, so I figured we'd do it. There we go, got her off. I knew I could, I usually do. So I've got the water pump and thermostat area all scrubbed out and cleaned with Scotch-Brite. I'm going to clean it up with some rubbing alcohol just to make sure it's free of all foreign contaminants, and then we'll get the thermostat and the water pump reinstalled. So we got our thermostat here, and it says before you install it, make sure it has a good seal when cold at the top here. So you can see there's definitely a good seal. So that seal's real good, and we're gonna check that it opens. This water's just got done boiling about 2 minutes ago. Got some steam. But you can see the thermostat is clearly opening now. Took a little while for it to heat up that coil. So yeah, it's functional. So we'll go ahead and install it.
That means Alligator. Got our toys. We have to find them. Alright, wait. How many more do we got to find? How many spots? There's 2 up here. How many more do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Pretty cool.
7, 8, 9.
Never actually done this test before. Turned out pretty good, pretty even all the way around. Now we can put the crank pulley on. I've put a little bit of axle grease on this so it's nice and lubed up, it's all cleaned up. Inspected it for cracks on the back. Alright, and the factory service manual shows on that it needs to be about 105 to 112 foot-pounds. So I've got it set at 107. Let's go ahead and torque it down. And I've just got the car in second gear and the e-brake on to hold the engine in place. Alright, I'm going to kind of use a little momentum here. There we go. Alright, front main seal and crank pulley are all in. Looks pretty good. I got everything scrubbed down and cleaned up. There's that bolt. Or the big bolt. Gotta go to the store. I thought that this was the red RTV, but it's not designed for engine coolant, so I gotta go buy some of the red RTV. These are all cleaned up. Let's get that installed, and then that'll probably be the end of today's video. Alright, so we've got our water pump and thermostat housing RTV. This stuff says to put it on, so we're going to apply a bead onto the water pump first. And then it says immediately install and finger tight until it starts to squeeze out, and then it needs to cure for an hour. And then after that you can come back and you can torque it down to spec. So let's get this done. Alright, you just puncture the top with the supplied lid. And let's go ahead and get a bead on this. So I got all these finger tight, and you can see the RTV is kind of beating out a little bit past the edge is what it says you're looking for. So we've got it on there. We're gonna let it cure up, and we can get the water pump done, or the thermostat done here. All right, let's get this thermostat ready to roll. All right, I think that's the ticket. Well, these are both on. They're shiny and new. You can see the RTV bead around all of it. Looks pretty good. So I'm happy with these. We'll set the clock for an hour and come back after that sets up and torque them down to spec. I bought 2 of these to do the job. I wasn't sure if one would be enough, and I probably still have about a quarter of this left in here, even with how much I applied. So if you do the same job, you only need one, just so you know. So I've got these areas all cleaned out. I'm going to rust treat them with some VHT metal rust converter, put a little Bondo on, paint it, prime it, and I've got all the bends basically pounded out the best that I can. This was really deformed, so I was just shaping it with my hammer on one side and my 4-pound sledge on the other, basically just kind of working the metal slowly to try to get it back to its original shape so it doesn't look as noticeable that it's been an accident. I mean, it's not perfect, especially when you compare it to the other side, but once I paint it, it's going to look much better. So engine bay is all cleaned up. I've cleaned all the little rust spots. I'm getting ready to repaint this entire thing. Battery tray. Alright, so I've got my Bondo glass done from yesterday. I had these holes that you can see in this area where the metal had rusted through, so I've fiberglassed it from underneath and sanded it smooth, cleaned it all out, and now I'm going to put a small layer of body filler in here just to kind of clean it up, sand it down, that when I paint it you won't notice it. this is my pretty much final sand. This you're not gonna really see, so it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be preserved and protected. I spent a lot of time on the front getting that really even and looking like one fresh piece of metal, so when you look behind the headlight, it's not gonna look all deformed and rusty. So I think this is good. I'm gonna pretty much paint that. This you're not gonna see, not really too concerned about that. It's mostly this area right here. So I cut it with 80, 180, and 320. Guys, we are pretty much ready. I've got my Red Bull here. Got everything masked off. I'm gonna paint all these areas. I'm gonna get all this done. Basically the whole inside of the engine bay, I'm gonna finish masking this off. I'm gonna paint all this area here, all the way up around the back part of the top firewall, all the way down and around, so when you open it, it's gonna look really good. I've got everything prepped and ready for primer. So let's go ahead and mask this stuff off, and then we're gonna start spraying. Hi, say hi, Julia. Hi. And then I've got all this stuff I bought from the paint store. So this is all like kind of high, super high quality, what you can get in a can without professionally spraying it, which I do have a paint sprayer, but I just didn't feel like doing it that way with mixing all the like the hardeners and lacquers and all that other crap. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I think this will turn out good enough. Alright, so I've got 2 cans of primer on, and this is just a quick look. I mean, this is the area that was heavily rusted. It's going to look way better, especially when you open up the hood and you look down behind the headlight down in here. And that looks so much better. This looks good. This is ready for paint. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a vast improvement over where it was, especially this whole front beam. This looked really dirty. Same thing, all this stuff is really dirty looking. But I'm happy with the way that the primer turned out, just for rattle can, nice quality primer. Yeah, we'll let that dry for about another 10 minutes, and I'll let that dry, and then I'm going to start painting the actual base coat on. And I also painted the hood brackets. These are all primed. It's much nicer. They were all rusty before. Well guys, I just finished the clear coat here, and I try to focus real heavy on the front beam of the car because that's the one that you see the most. That and this, I try to put it on real heavy, that way it's the glossiest. Got it real good in the headlight area and really good in like the battery tray and like the exposed areas that you're really going to see, the top of the strut towers, top of this area here. But I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. It's gonna look a lot nicer when you pop the hood. I wish I would've went a little heavier there. It's a little light, but it'll look way better than it was. And you can see, like that's where the area I did my body work. It turned out pretty good. Doesn't look like a rusty piece of shit anymore like it did. And I laid down clear coat heavy here, and then you can see where it's barely anything there because you're not gonna see that. It's gonna be underneath the fender. But yeah, even did like the areas of the door jambs. Turned out real nice, and yeah, it's gonna look really good when you pop the hood. This is all paint matched. I took the spoiler down to Wesco paints, and I had them use a spectrophotometer and paint match all my different paint and stuff. So this was the actual primer that I used. Went out really good. Probably could have used a little bit more for how much area I painted and covered. But this is the actual paint and then the clear coat, clear acrylic. But really happy with the products. Paint products probably cost me about $180 to do this entire area. And yeah, what a difference that it made. Not perfect, but it is far better than where it was. So to celebrate, why don't you guys join me? I'm gonna have a little drink of wine. Tastes good. And I think I'm gonna end the video here with starting with the water pump and all the other stuff, thermostat and everything else I kind of did with the disassembly. I'll catch back up with you guys when I start taking off all this plastic and everything and actually showing the engine bay for the first time. So my goals are next week to put the fenders on, intercooler kit back on, front bumper, it's got to be polished. It needs to be cut out to fit around the intercooler. So next week on my 3 days off, the goal is to go ahead and get the car fully assembled and hopefully start it. I got to do some stuff with the vacuum lines. I'm gonna have to probably take the car somewhere because I don't really understand all that stuff, and it's kind of beyond me. But that is the kind of the stage where I'm at with the process. If you guys would like to join me, subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next video, and we can finish this process together. I'd like to thank all the new subscribers. I'm almost to 1,000. With your help, we can get there. Beyond that, yeah, if you guys have any comments or anything, please leave them down below. I try to answer all the comments and get back to all you guys. I appreciate all the feedback and stuff. I'm super excited for this car. Man, it just looks so much better. It looked just so shitty. Would be really good if I could get underneath these wheel wells at some point. Most likely I'll sell the car before I get to that stage, but there's a shit ton of rust under here. But that's kind of what you expect for a 25-year-old car coming from Japan. I don't know about you guys, but man, this is sexy as fuck. I could not be more excited with the way this turned out. You can just see the sheer and shimmer coming off the body. Man, it's gonna look freaking awesome. I'd say I'd give myself a thumbs up. This is my first time ever attempting to really paint an engine bay. And for just rattle canning it, I think it turned out pretty damn good. Wish I would have had one more can of clear coat. I really could have hit it a lot better, but I'm satisfied with the way that it turned out. But anyway, guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.